Ana Sandoval with District 7 in San Antonio joining us for our 5 and 5. We are back with these. We have taken a little short break. I am Liz John with SPEER, the communications manager. And today we'll be asking some quick questions with Ana. So I'm going to let her introduce herself and then we will kick off and get started.
Great. Hi, Liz. Thanks a lot for inviting me to do this. My name is Ana Sandoval. I represent District 7 in the city of San Antonio. It's extremely diverse as far as land use goes. We have an older core part of the city, and then we have a much more suburban part of the district as well. So I've been on since 2017, and some of the things I've worked very hard at are bringing in more drainage infrastructure dollars to our area. We certainly feel a lot of the flash floods here in District 7. Also, the adoption of the Climate Action Plan, and that happened in 2019. And I also champion issues of public health as well as public participation.
That's wonderful. And I think we're actually going to touch on the climate adoption plan. So we all know that flooding is a very large issue in Texas that we all experience often. So let's kick it off. What can individuals do to make their homes or buildings more energy efficient? And what trends have you seen come to fruition in South Texas, especially following the recent winter storm that we all experienced?
Okay, I'm going to give you a low-tech answer and a high-tech answer.
Okay, perfect.
So, one of my favorite things to do is actually open my windows and not run the AC 24 hours a day, when weather permitting, right? That certainly doesn't always happen in the summer in South Texas. But once we get to the fall, there really is much less of a need to run that system all the time. So having your windows open as well as fans, that's much less energy consuming than running the AC. Now, a high-tech option would be to get a smart thermostat. CPS, our utility, allows us to do that. And that also, and this can actually work during the hottest time of the year in the summer. And it not only saves you energy, the homeowner and the bill payer energy, but it saves our whole community, from burning more coal or burning more natural gas, because it basically controls the demand that the whole community has.
Right, especially during those peak hours where everyone's coming home from work and turning on all of their appliances and washing clothes. And then another thing that you mentioned with opening up the windows, that also would help with lighting. You could keep your lights off if it's a nice afternoon and cut down, especially if they're not LED lights. Just made me think of that. Very good suggestions. Okay, and then what sustainability challenges do you see San Antonio facing?
I think we have some similar ones as other cities across Texas. Number one, we have a very strong oil and gas industry, which brought a lot of great things to our community. And I think some of the challenge we see is in beginning to that conversion to more sustainable non-fossil fuel forms of energies. We have to think about how is that workforce going to transition? And are they going to embrace the transition, or is it going to be sort of a fight to get to that transition? And there's not just big oil companies, right? There's also lots of small companies and people who make their living this way. So I think that's one of our biggest.
And then also with the transition, and I'm sure you know, because you just explained how diverse San Antonio is, you also have to keep into account, equity. What areas are transitioning and how quickly, and, air pollution and things like that along with it.
Well, also you have some small towns that are entirely built on the success of oil and gas industry, and we don't want to, destroy any towns, right? So we have to think about that transition.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm from Louisiana, and so it's oil and gas central. I completely understand. Okay, let's see. So you had mentioned that San Antonio adopted the PACE program in 2020, and that was after the city had already adopted its sustainability plan in 2016 and the climate action and adaptation plan in 2019. So already, huge successes. What can individuals do to help this climate action and adaptation plan in San Antonio move forward?
I think something that's really important is for our elected officials to hear from the community that this is important to them. Every so often, we will get, our inbox is flooded, right? But
Right.
it's usually, and that's absolutely important. Sometimes the letters or the emails come from people who don't live in San Antonio, or they sometimes even live outside of the county. And certainly we're a large city, so what we do here does affect the surrounding areas. But what's most impactful is if you make sure you share this with your elected official when you see them, when you go to a public meeting and they're there. Because let me tell you, as elected officials, what we will always hear about is streets, sidewalks,
Yep.
code compliance, people who have messy yards. What we don't often hear about in a public forum,
Hmm.
is sustainability issues. So it's important to voice those to your elected officials so that we know that's a priority for our community. And
That's a very
of
good
course,
point. Yeah, we definitely need to highlight that. And, a lot of things do start at the local level in your backyard. So that's very important. Okay, let's see. We have two more to go. So if there is one thing, and maybe we kind of touched on this already, if there's one thing that people could do to help protect the environment, what would you suggest or what would that be?
oh, it's a very big thing.
I know there are so many. Where do you start?
I think you want to just be careful what you buy
Yep,
and ask
that's a very good
yourself,
point.
do I really need this?
Or can you buy
Um,
it secondhand, maybe?
exactly. So I was addicted to Facebook Marketplace, and then
Me
I was
too.
buying things I need.
Me too.
Facebook Marketplace.
I
Um,
didn't even need them.
Yeah, exactly. So I think you want to ask yourself, do I really need this, and do I really need this brand new? Obviously, there are things we always need brand new, like underwear, right?
Sure, sure.
But when it,
Shower curtain, yes.
but we tend to consume a lot, right?
Yeah.
And it's hard not to, because a lot of our economy, our sales tax dollars, like that's what we
Builds
want people to do
exactly,
sometimes, right? So
exactly.
that it gives us revenue as a community. But in there, there's embodied a lot of pollution before you buy the product and after you buy the product.
And I guess you
But
also think about the shipping, where it's coming
so
from.
the one thing, sorry, now that I've narrowed it down to the one thing I would say you don't have to buy is bottled water, because it is very expensive to, not just expensive, but
Can't go nowhere without
expensive
it.
the carbon dioxide emissions to move water. It's extremely heavy, and guess what? You can get it
Oh,
for free on your tap. Or if you install a filter, if that's what you prefer, that's a lot more energy efficient than actually purchasing bottled water.
that's a great point. I really only think about it from the plastic side of it, how it's harder to
Oh, that's
reduce past, but not the water side. Wow.
yeah, the actual moving, the transport of it is
Yeah.
very big.
Wow.
Mhm.
Okay. We're going to highlight that. Okay. And the last one's a little fun one. So if you could trade places with any person for a week, and they can be living or dead, real, fictional, famous or not, who would it be? And I don't even know if I
Uh,
know the answer to this.
um, well, I think it'd be fun to be someone who has a personal trainer.
Yeah.
I
Yes,
know that's silly, but have someone tell you exactly how to make your body
exactly.
beautiful and have a beautiful body for a week. So I don't know whether it's Beyonce or J Lo. That's,
Those are all great choices. I agree. I know the workout that I get in is walking my 4-year-old golden retriever too many times a day, because she has enough energy for all of us. Well, thank you so much for joining us. These were all very great points. I can't wait to share it with the public. And thank you for educating us on what San Antonio is doing to become more sustainable and energy efficient.
Thank you so much, Liz.
Thank you. You have a good one.